In the shadowy corners of a medieval scriptorium, the faint glow of candlelight illuminates the pages of a Hebrew Bible. The air is thick with the scent of parchment and ink, as a scribe carefully inscribes each letter, aware of the immense weight of tradition and interpretation that accompanies every word. This is not just a text. It is a vessel of millennia of Jewish thought, a repository of divine wisdom and human interpretation. The Hebrew Bible, more than any other book, has been a living document, its meaning and significance evolving through layers of commentary and exegesis. This video delves into the world of medieval Jewish biblical interpretation, exploring how Jewish scholars approached the text, the methods they used, and the profound impact of their work on both Jewish and Christian traditions. The Hebrew Bible, known to Jews as the Tanakh, is a complex and multifaceted text. It is divided into three main sections: the Torah, the 5 books of Moses, the Nevi'im, prophets, and the Ketuvim, writings. Each of these sections has been the subject of extensive commentary and interpretation, with a rich tradition of exegesis that dates back centuries. In the Middle Ages, this tradition reached new heights as Jewish scholars developed sophisticated methods for understanding and applying the biblical text to their lives. One of the most significant figures in this tradition was Rashi, Rabbi Solomon ben Isaac of Troyes, 1040 to 1105. Rashi's commentary on the Torah is a cornerstone of Jewish biblical interpretation, and his influence is still felt today. Rashi was not just a commentator. He was a master of the peshat, or the plain meaning of the text. The peshat is a crucial concept in Jewish exegesis, and it is often misunderstood. While the term peshat might seem to suggest a literal or straightforward reading, it is actually more nuanced. As David Weiss Halivni argues, the peshat is not about literalism in the modern sense, but about interpreting the text in a way that is consistent with its context and the broader traditions of Jewish scholarship. Rashi's approach to the peshat was not to ignore the allegorical or metaphorical meanings of the text, but to ground them in a solid understanding of the plain meaning. For example, when interpreting the biblical references to Edom or the Kittim, Rashi often saw these as allusions to the Romans, who were the historical enemies of the Jews. This approach allowed him to connect the text to the contemporary experiences of his community, making the ancient words relevant and meaningful. Rashi was not the only Jewish scholar to emphasize the peshat. Abraham ibn Ezra, 1089 to 1167, and David Kimchi, 1160 to 1235, known as Radak, also made significant contributions to this tradition. Ibn Ezra was known for his philological and grammatical expertise, and his commentaries often delved into the linguistic and historical context of the biblical text. Kimchi, on the other hand, was a master of both the peshat and the derash, or homiletical interpretation. His commentaries often combined a rigorous analysis of the plain meaning with deeper moral and theological insights. The peshat and the derash were not mutually exclusive, but rather complementary approaches to the text. The peshat provided a foundation, a starting point for understanding the text, while the derash allowed for a more expansive and creative exploration of its meanings. This duality is a hallmark of Jewish exegesis, reflecting the belief that the text is rich and multifaceted, capable of yielding multiple layers of meaning. The Midrashim, collections of rabbinic interpretations and homilies, are a prime example of the derash tradition. In the Midrashim, the opinions of many different rabbis are presented side by side, creating a vibrant dialogue that spans centuries. The Midrashim are not concerned with chronological accuracy or the order of events, but rather with the richness and diversity of interpretation. This approach reflects the Jewish belief that the Torah is a living document, one that can be interpreted and reinterpreted in each generation to address the needs and questions of the community. The Midrashic tradition is not just a collection of interpretations, but a method of thinking. It encourages readers to engage deeply with the text, to ask questions, and to seek multiple answers. The Midrashim often use parables, allegories, and symbolic language to convey complex ideas, making the text accessible and relevant to a wide audience. This method of interpretation is not just about understanding the past, but about applying the wisdom of the Torah to the present and the future. The relationship between Jewish and Christian biblical interpretation is a complex and often contentious one. In the Middle Ages, Jewish scholars were acutely aware of the differences between their interpretations and those of their Christian contemporaries. Christian readers often saw the Hebrew Bible as a foreshadowing of the New Testament, finding Christological meanings in passages that Jews did not. For example, Christians interpreted the suffering servant of Isaiah 53 as a prophecy of Jesus, while Jews saw it as a reference to the collective suffering of the nation of Israel. This difference in interpretation was not just a matter of religious belief, but also a matter of identity and survival. For Jews, the Hebrew Bible was a source of pride and a means of maintaining their distinct identity in a Christian-dominated world. The peshat, with its emphasis on the plain meaning of the text, was a way of asserting the Jewish interpretation of the Bible against Christian claims. Jewish scholars like Rashi, Ibn Ezra, and Kimchi often polemicized against Christian interpretations, arguing that the true meaning of the text was the one that aligned with Jewish tradition. However, despite the differences, there was also a degree of cross-pollination between Jewish and Christian exegesis. Christian scholars like Nicholas of Lyra, a 14th century French theologian, consulted Jewish sources and even learned Hebrew to better understand the Bible. This exchange of ideas, though often fraught with tension, contributed to the richness and diversity of medieval biblical scholarship. The medieval period was a time of great intellectual and cultural ferment, and the study of the Hebrew Bible was at the center of this ferment. The rise of universities and the development of new methods of scholarship, such as the glossa ordinaria, which provided a comprehensive commentary on the Bible, contributed to a more analytical and critical approach to the text. Jewish scholars, with their deep knowledge of Hebrew and their rich tradition of exegesis, played a crucial role in this intellectual revolution. The impact of medieval Jewish biblical interpretation extends far beyond the Middle Ages. The commentaries of Rashi, Ibn Ezra, and Kimchi. I continue to be studied and cited in Jewish communities today, and their methods of interpretation have influenced generations of scholars. The peshat and the derash remain central concepts in Jewish exegesis, providing a framework for understanding the text in both its plain and deeper meanings. In conclusion, the medieval Jewish approach to the Hebrew Bible was a rich and dynamic tradition that combined rigorous analysis with creative interpretation. It was a tradition that valued both the plain meaning of the text and its deeper, more symbolic meanings, reflecting the belief that the Torah is a living document that speaks to each generation. The work of scholars like Rashi, Ibn Ezra, and Kimchi not only shaped Jewish biblical interpretation, but also contributed to the broader intellectual and cultural landscape of the Middle Ages. Their legacy continues to inspire and inform the study of the Hebrew Bible today.